Where am I at in today's episode? Right where I need to be. And giving God your thoughts and emotions, however you could do that. And, retaining, this true, sense of, deep harmony, deep multi-harmony, most respectively, without the grasping. Because that would be a thread that's inside and outside of whatever you're calling enlightenment, or whatever infinite subjective objective enlightenment your human is carrying as a carrier, which is just yours, and you're what you're creating, what you're birthing on a different level, but it's coming out on this surface 3D material level in a unique material fashion setting level way. And within that material fashion setting level way, it's a whole different process, it's a very particular process. And that particular process is, it's just kind of more or less within whatever turns of everything, it's focusing on just you, but then it's forgetting you, we forget ourselves, we're distracted, that's the main subtle subtone of it all, it's the sub note, within the tone of the video games. All the video games, Ristar, 1994, 1993, 1992, 1991, 1990, and then the whole fucking 80s being its own entity. These decades are entities, these are time beings, these are time energies, these are circumstantial beings, these are the beings, the ghosts, the egregors that are being created and stored within a time capsule, because there's different levels of time. There's time, alchemy, pretty much, respectively, and that already being a thing, though, that's the thing. That's because I'm trying to, and for me to ironically ungrasp from anything that's graspable, that is the essence for you to receive, the energy and the spirit itself. And once you receive the energy and the spirit itself, it's kind of ironic because you're letting go to become immortal. You let it's not even asking what the benefits are to letting go. It's just seeing the product of what could be once a practice and a process of ungrasping, respectively. And shout out to everybody who's teaching that. Us realizing particularly different benefits for letting go anything, anything you could think of, anything that you could letting go at all, because what are the benefits of letting go of everything, because if you have the ability to and because it's responding and reacting to different levels on a surface level material, just subtle level of just the alchemical energies of just everything, it's but a particular everything, not just saying everything just like that, But when we have a nuanced notion choice, when we have a choice to choose what we could let go of, everything, every moment, every blink of an eye, even because eventually death is taking our elements. Death is taking our air, death is taking our fire, death is taking our earth, death is taking our characters, the program, metal or whatever. That's fluid liquid metal and solid liquid metal, and those being just a different element that we've always been working with to build governments, respectively. And now we're in a unique time setting within how we all have we're all infinitely particular, we're all infinitely unique. We're all infinitely, in way different circumstances, mega diversity within mega diversity. That's the difference. And that's such an understatement still, because the humans, we're all on our own different tasks, Like the grasshopper is on a different task, the baboon's on a different task, the chimpanzee is on a different task, you know, the wild, you know, buffalo and the wild coyote and the wild jackals and the wild pumbas and every character in Lion King, and seeing the deeper esoteric meaning in Lion King, and how that's just like a story pointing to like some other beings that, like, you know, like how they lived it, and then we remembered it through that, you know, season of time that we're in, because it's always been like more or less the same family. Because, you know, oneness and wholeness, it means different things in different contexts. Is like, you can't necessarily have oneness of like infinite differentiation, which everything is infinitely differentiated. So it's like like for that to be kind of like one, like have a oneness perspective to it, then different instruments would have to like ultimately like peer and record the different types of oneness, like, you know, because like it's like, you know, okay, you can think of like just one, like think of like just something like, you know, think of like an ocean, and and think of your human material self. How is your human self going to become all of one with the ocean? At one channel of itself, it has to surrender the material body, the surface level bodies. So as we're surrendering in different nuanced ways on different levels, letting go, we're more or less recycling ourselves and how to become, you know, immortal. So this is like respectively the essence. And like, you know, aside from my mind, you know, that's the big practice with me turning it on myself, me doing my own psychological shadow work, mental shadow work, and those being two different things. Because mental shadow work, that's just like, that could be everything story and chaos that's totally irrelevant. And then your psychological development is your clarity and how you steer away from that. And then your healthy truths of like, you know, what we are like optimally physically, what we are optimally with, and whatever that means like spiritually, and whatever that really could mean for you. Because obviously I'm not, in the end, like, why would I like waste my efforts trying to convince anybody? In the end, I was just expressing my own truths freely, and that's like my own biggest truth. And it was to raise awareness. So any offense I've ever done, and you're not seeing the parallel, different other swept underneath like certain unexcusable things, if you're like letting that ride and just like other tangents, then that's you. And maybe that's just the duality of it, you know. I simplified the collective mind's duality of everything, because that's how the universe operates, whether we like it or not. Like how do you simplify the universal mind? You would have to ask, like, what is it? How is it having a pre-order and a like structure to like how everything is within it, you know? And I'm gonna roll up my windows here because I'm just like, you never know if, you know, Paul and his UFO is just over there, and like just, you know, different Pauls, maybe 100 Pauls, 333, you know, that number like being its own thing, you know. So yeah, so the time is like it's taking like this level of us, it's different exchanges. And I don't want to say tolls, because it's not necessarily, nothing's a toll, everything's a give or take, because we're alive for a reason, you know. So if we're alive for a reason, nothing's necessarily a toll, it's an exchange, because we're more valuable than whatever they're putting us on their little psychological code of the surface level elements within how we're making this element, like our higher like energies, or the higher elements are making the like all these other things, you know, the high, and whatever like consciousness is infused within that, which we all have, like, I guess, you know, unbiased to somewhat biased relationships with that. Because look at religion, it could be like, to some percentage, it could be biased, you know, because it's being directed towards a certain region, and that region is ultimately like using that as structure and organization to see where they fit in society with what makes them feel comfortable. And there's no judgment in that, you know, because there is like within the ratio, there is like constructive and there is good and there is truth. So that's why like there's pros and cons to religion. Duh, this is 2023, you know. Or there's cons and pros to religion, you know. And like seeing, like, you know, just detecting the cons, that's what advanced AI does. Duh. And it's like but like within the shared balanced council of things, Well, hold on for a second. Going back to the time, you know, like, we're all infinitely diversely different, you know, because we all have different capabilities and abilities and like agilities and epiphanies or lack thereof, or, you know, even like, you know, little mini symphonies and like our own, like, you know, unknown relationship to the realist infinity. And me going back on a particular date with a particular, like, just kind of like, just crafting, you know, because it's all craft, it's data craft with the highest open source. And because, like, in the end, the ground basis of this podcast is the practice and the process of letting go. So within that being the simple subject headliner of letting go, respectively, I'm kind of grounding into like, what's that like really doing for me? Because obviously that would be a question that would be asked me, like, okay, well, what's that doing for you? And that's like, you know, ironically, like, you know, the big polarities are like the craziest gifts, you know, because they're the things that are like unlocking and unveiling and revealing and unrevealing, like, and on and off, you know. Like, what is like what the pressure is ultimately creating as far as a mutation beyond the human mind, because your body's consciousness and unconsciousness, it's not necessarily on par with your own mind, but they kind of go in and out of each other, I would like to say, because like respectively the body could be impacted on like so many different things. Like the mind's not necessarily like informing us, but but our mind connected inside of our body, that's something of our subconsciousness, and then the subtle shell of that is the higher subconsciousness, and we're trying to, like, you know, explore that. That's like the essence of our space and stuff. And the essence of our space, that's like we could get totally lost in that, in our own subconscious field, because we're in a collective subconsciousness that we're attempting to clarify the neutral mission, clarify, like, you know, what your space is and what is distorted and corrupt on a data level, energetic level, scientific level, and a neutral level for most appropriately within the real, like, you know, just the realist, really, the realio, the ralio, the rallyo. And I hope you fucking glistening though, infinitely though, glamorously though. I'm beyond neutral villainous tactics, but I got my vixens with me though, and I'm unhexing all of this unforeshadowed in the shadow summoning jack-o'-lanterns in this, yo, sleepy gallow, sweepy hollow, sweepy shallow, you shallow, I'm, oh, yo, talking to you in that new pillow with my own mill dough, millet bread, yo. Sourdough, bread co, hell yo, you already know, jet pod flow, jet skis though, yo, jet space rocketeer ship though, jet craft though, drift off, like cast away, blast away, tachyons with the tachyers. Tachyon, what's a tachyon? It's a particular type of molecules, atomic particle, an atomic molecule particle that is associated with like high spacecraft as well. It's like it's like kind of like an energy battery generator micro panel. That's what, like, because obviously, and dude, for me to say that, that's like what is a tachyon? And I just, like, it's a real thing. It's like that's like real Star Trek science right there, you know? Like, because they're on real Star Trek science, they're using like real fucking, like, you know, the whole shebang within, like, you know, just the whole, like, main head central generators, main central, you know, manifestation commands, you know, just like the command data board, the motherboard, the mothership, the RAM, the firm, the micro firm, you know, the core processor, you know, the batteries, the generators, already said that. You know, the projection technology, screen software, application software, operation system programming. So, like, this has already, but the main trick with my relationship with astrology is seeing how, like, all of this, it was before AI, because AI was on par and pairing with quote unquote astronomy, astrology, data intelligence, end quote, for us to even make everything that we have made since the last 2,000 to, like, you know, 96,000 years back respectively, because within that time range, all of this was already being used as its own technology and its own evolution, respectively, and its own neutral like touch, which is the ungrasped. Most ironically, because the basis of this video is to say the different types of letting go, and how the different types of letting go are giving us an ironic energetic boost and a more deeper feeling of our own spiritual self on a subtle, unique, niche level. And within that, that's eventually the essence of our graduality to, in mental harmony logic, to actually grow in balance. And what do I mean by that? Grow in balance. Well, there's different channels and contexts of GMO shit, and like that's self-evident, you know, like the narrative of like something like of beings being zombified, that metaphor is already playing out, you know. It's a metaphor, like that whole zombie media shit, that's already a thing, you know, within like how they're crafting things, and that's just what it is. We're ultimately choosing that, and no judgment, that's the thing, no judgment. But I'm just trying to like see like how like somehow we're like, it seems like time is slowing, like death, like time, death, it's compressed. It's its own compressed time setting. But within that, you know, the different layers of us, there's a part of us that could like be frozen or stuck, but like within something else, like everything is still like moving, you know. So that's but like within that, so it's like we're just floating pieces of like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know who I should be mad at. Just myself, maybe. But the basis of this convo was just like letting it go to just feel peace, feel tranquility. And I got 3 minutes. I got 3 minutes. 2.5 minutes. But we can't make it happen like overnight though, you know? So since we can't make it happen overnight, that's the hinting of the practice, and to have a neutral understanding of like, you know, this basic code that it is. So that's how I would want to conclude this video. That's cool, yeah. Oh, yep.